You're tuned into the New Old Heads podcast, premiered every Thursday at noon at BringingDownTheBand.com and brought to you by No Bad Ideas, Coleman Dental, Printfinity, and Indie CD and Vinyl. Support the New Old Heads by visiting our Patreon at patreon.com/newoldheads.
Episode 126 of the New Old Heads podcast. I am Major 7. I'll figure the rest of that part out later. I'm still struggling. I apologize. Longevity, how are you, sir?
I'm great. I make beats and I have the hard drive to prove it.
Jerk. In the corner, fresh to death, Adidas suit, full suit, fresh kicks. You know what I'm saying? Mr. Printfinity, DJ Jay Diff. Salutations. What's good, son?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Man, I'm good. I can't complain.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that suit though. It's real hip hop of you.
Yeah. I like that 𝗏𝗏 vest.
Well, you know, man.
You got on.
You know, I'm just trying to take it back. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. 90s.
You got some of them snow goggles that everybody used to wear on their head.
I left them at the crib. I thought about it.
Word.
Kept them cocked to the side.
Yeah.
Yeah. I left them at the crib.
Got you. Okay. Bring those next time.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Do you want me to wear them?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, to the
or
side.
Or keep them to the side?
To the side.
Why can't I just rock them?
Because
could you rock one of them and then the other one be to the side?
See?
I mean.
That's your boy, man.
Trash in the mattress.
He could do that perhaps, but
yeah,
I'd rather just see it.
It's all good. So
you banging the left or the right?
I'm not a street dude, Terrence.
You're a gangster, right?
Not at all.
Oh, okay.
No pistol play. I don't do that.
All right.
You know, Super Soaker played back in the 90s.
Oh yeah.
Strictly Super Soaker. Yeah. 100.
I got in a chase over a Super Soaker fight, but you can go ahead and.
I want to ask you about that, but we're going to introduce the guest, but we can come back to that. So, Spoolz is out. He's ill, under the weather, so shout out to the homie Spoolz. Hope you get better. Hope you feel better. We have a special guest in the building today. Many names we could start off by introducing her, but I'm going to keep it professional. We have Miss Melissa Lambino, a.k.a. Crafty Mother, you know what I'm saying?
Shut your mouth.
A.k.a. the yarn lady. You know, you see that from time to time. You know what I'm saying? But she is a matter of fact, I'm going to let her describe what she actually is. Shout out to 𝗏𝗏 as well. That is your company, correct?
Yes.
All right. So could you do me a quick favor and just kind of introduce yourself, if you would, please, as you knit?
As I knit? I don't know. Yeah, I'm the yarn girl, I guess.
Okay.
A fiber artist.
There we go. I'll take that.
Fiber artist. Yeah.
You make different colors of yarn,
yes.
right?
Yeah, I dye yarn is what I do, and I design knit patterns.
She's actually damn good at it. So we got to make sure we put, like we always do, Twitter handles, you know, website information or whatever. So we got to make sure the people can get her information because she's dope at what she does. So
pushing weight.
Kind of a big deal.
Kind of a big deal.
In the yarn industry, right?
Facts.
She's a yarn influencer.
Yes. Travels the world as well.
Yeah.
Every time I look up on IG, she's
especially your yarn does. I mean, you ship all over the place, right?
Facts.
I do. My yarn has been shipped to, I think, 20 different countries at this point.
That's dope.
Every single U.S. state.
That's dope.
That's nice.
I'm gonna take over the world.
Nice.
Shout out to the self-employed people out here. We love the we always talk about the local businesses. So anytime we see that, we want to support anybody that has a self-contained organization that's out here getting it. So we appreciate that as always. Red August is in the building. No longer camera mic, and we have actually put a twist on here. He actually has access now to speak on the episode.
Just the way you said that.
Yes, access to speak. We have granted him access to speak. So Red August is in
you.
It's terrible for me.
For you.
I can't wait till they finally get a chance to hear him giggle. Red August, what's happening, bro?
I'm good. It's about damn time.
Look out now.
That's right.
I
want to talk to you on your man's face. In your face.
Red August, hey, Jay Diff, Red August gonna get so comfortable on the mic, he gonna have a mixtape in a month.
Hey, let's do it.
You know what I'm saying?
They could collaborate.
Yeah.
We can make
Trash
it
in
happen.
the mattress.
Me and Lone can take care of the production. We'll curate that, get it popping.
Cool.
Now, back to your Super Soaker before we get started.
Yeah.
Did you have the joint, you know, if you got lucky, somebody had the joint with the tanks on the back.
Nah,
Did you
I
have
didn't
that?
have that one. I had some nice ones though.
I had the 100. I think that's the coldest one I got. Was the 100.
I want to say a 1200.
Oh,
So it had a long barrel, like real long, and it had a big ass water tank on the back. It's real nice. It wasn't a backpack though, but
you had the big boy tank.
yeah,
Okay.
it was nice size. It had some good pressure. It might sting a little bit.
Oh, you had one of those. Like I hated that person.
So
Yeah.
there was an episode where me and a couple of my friends were hanging out. This is back when it was like fun to ride 38th Street, like it was lit, like nothing was happening.
Yeah.
As far as people on bullshit, everybody just hanging out, you know,
No
what I'm saying, having a
violence.
good time.
Right.
So we was hanging out, and there was a car of young ladies next to us. So we decided, let's talk to them, and if they don't talk back, going to spray them
I like
with
that.
the water guns.
I like that.
I was like, all right, so
You like violence?
it's not really violence.
It's not
It's
violence.
just,
Yeah, this isn't violence.
you know, this is kind of, well, not, it really wasn't that time. You remember in the Nothing But a G Thing video, they was really on one then, but we
Yeah.
wasn't like that. So we
They
was
were
like,
on one in that video.
if they're cool, we ain't gonna spray them. So we get to talking to the young ladies, and
Right.
they're actually cool, going back and forth. My guy in the back seat did not pay attention to the plan, so he decides to shoot them,
Messed up everything.
getting good rhythm and everything. He shoots them. They go nuts. I think they might have really had guns.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How about that?
So my buddy takes off, and they're chasing us. This shit was hilarious. And all of a sudden, you start hearing all these noises. I thought they was shooting or something.
Right.
But they was throwing bottles and shit at the car. It's crazy. Yeah.
That would have been pretty dope to
Some
be.
gangster booze.
Yeah, that would have been dope to be in the cell phone era. Because, you know, everybody would have been recording
Yeah,
that.
cell
You'd have-
phones
you'd
out,
have-
you just couldn't.
Well,
take
the camera, you know how the
yeah.
cameras was with the, you'd have went viral, son.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying? You'd have went viral. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For slight violence.
Yeah, water gun incident.
All right, man. Episode 126. Shout out to the sponsors. Coleman Dental 317-255-8546. Get your teeth is right. These are actually our partners. I apologize. Indie CD and vinyl as well. No Bad Ideas. They always lace us with good product. Printfinity. Support your local businesses as well as bringing down the band. As always, it's the hub. Shout out to Red August as well. You know what he shoots. We already going down the list, so we ain't gonna even take no time on that. All right, so episode 126. I wanted to start off with this one. The Robert Mueller report came back 22 months later after all the investigation. It turns out that President Trump will not be indicted on anything after the report. Now, this is crazy because he's been probably the last 2 or 3 days. He has been on every time he's in front of a mic. He's basically telling everybody, "I told you so," and "I told you we didn't do anything wrong." So he's in his bag on his gloating. But the obstruction of justice still kind of is lingering. So there's a chance that I guess can be put on him. I'm not sure. That's just what I saw per CNN. But what I'm seeing is people are starting to think or react by saying that this somewhat absolves him from his character of who he really is, just because, you know, this report came back in his favor. I don't agree with that, because at this point I'm starting to see some people be like, "Oh man, he should have a clean slate now, and we should ignore all the other dumb shit that's happened." Like, what's your take on that, Lone? Have you seen anything to that effect, or just what's your take on the overall report having nothing on him?
I saw the initial report.
Yep.
That it came out. I saw where the Democrats said that they don't want a watered down version
Right.
of, or the cliff notes of what was in the report. They want the actual report to see it. My take is that this has nothing to do with who he is as a person. This was just something that was going to bring him up on charges, essentially. You know, he's still a shithead.
Thank you.
You know, he's still, whatever you want to call him.
There are people out there that are really trying to, create the illusion that this should wipe his slate clean for the things that he's done or his actions of who he really is as a person. I disagree with that personally. To your
No,
point.
I just don't think it's like the reason that most of us don't like him has nothing to do with the results of whatever, of this investigation. We don't like him because of who he is.
Right.
This is just something that he's on trial for. All right, cool. He's still done everything else that he's done, that
Right.
he rocks with himself. Like he's open about who he is as a person. So,
There we have it.
I could dig that. Jay Diff, anything to add? Are we pretty much?
I honestly hadn't
I know where
heard
you
anything
stand. I'm just
about,
asking in terms
about
of the
this until now. I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's who he is, and that doesn't change anything.
Right.
People that support him, of course, are going to say this is supposed to wipe the slate clean or whatnot. But to Sean's point, he is who we thought he was, regardless of the outcome. So that's all I have to say about that.
He actually said that he would be, if the report came out, the full report, entire transcript, everything, wouldn't bother him at all if it came out. I don't know if I believe that.
that's again, it's fine. Like I don't really know if it matters if he's impeached or not at this point.
Right.
We still have, again, it's still Republican based, it's
Yep.
conservative based. It's not progressive. I mean, it's going to change most likely next election cycle. Could be wrong, but the country seems to be moving a lot more progressively. A lot more of the ideas are more mainstream along healthcare and things of that nature.
Right.
So I don't know. I'm waiting for him to just fuck off somewhere and die.
Die.
It's pretty savage. That's savage life right there. Shout out to Webby.
Yeah, I mean, it's just.
I ain't mad at you. It is what it is.
Like I'd be perfectly fine if he fell off the cliff somewhere. That'd be cool. I'd be like, oh, that sucks for people that are related to him, that like him.
Yeah.
But
That's it.
It's just
Somebody should
he's
have
not a
killed
good.
him as a baby.
Wow.
He's not.
That's what. Who said that?
Oh, you put me on the spot. I can't even call it. I don't want to mess it up.
Kodak.
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 Somebody should have killed
He
him
said
as
that
a
about
baby.
Wayne. Yeah, he said that about.
I just
He said that about Wayne.
I mean, I don't wish ill necessarily anybody, but I don't really. Donald Trump is not a good human being. So
Facts.
So it's just what it is.
I just don't care that much about the guy.
Yeah, overall,
Yeah, overall.
record as a record label and the staff.
No, none of it.
Yeah. Okay.
Y'all finished or y'all done?
You know what? I want to make sure that I ask our guest as well. Do you have anything to chime in on Mr. Trump? If you don't, it's perfectly fine, ma'am. I figured I would toss it over to you.
I don't have anything to add about that, man.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Well, there you have it. I don't even want to ask Red August because he's too busy.
No, that's ignorant.
Yeah, that is ignorant to ask Red August. So this is gonna be great with Red.
I can freely say you're a jerk now.
You can. Red August, you know what, man? Since this is outside of the norm for our show, what do you feel about that, man? Can you give me a bar? Can you give me a couple bars before we go to the next topic, man? You got the mic now, so go ahead, man.
About Trump?
Yes, about the report coming out saying that he's pretty much there's no collusion. Well, you heard the topic, fool. What do you think?
No
well,
collusion.
I think it's funny how his supporters say, "Oh, this wipes the slate clean," because
Right.
that just proves that there was shit before that he was doing wrong. So, I mean, I agree with the rest of you guys. I don't think this changes who he is as a person. It's not gonna make me feel better about what he's been doing. He's already done damage, so it is what it is at this point.
Where are we at in this term? I forget.
They sell organs.
It's
Where we at? 3 coming up on? Are we at 3?
we're
We're at
2.
3, right?
kinda
2.5.
We're into 3.
Going into 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're kind of on the end of the term a little bit.
To Lone's
so to
point,
speak.
it's pretty. Yeah, we almost there now. So
Maybe I could be surprised. I don't know.
I'm with you on that
but
though.
I feel like the candidates that I see running for Democrat,
Yeah.
that seat, a lot of them, like Andrew Yang, is very kind of a bipartisan type of Democrat. I feel like a lot of people could support him. There are a handful of people I just feel would support Democrats this time around.
Shout out to my cousin,
as opposed to just
James, who's a patron. He was actually the one that put me up on Yang. Like he said I should watch his interview. I don't know if it was the Breakfast Club or if he was with.
I talked about him a few weeks ago.
Yeah, like he told me I should do my research. He seemed like James said he was really impressed with him, so I want to do. He's a credible source on that, so I definitely will.
I am too. Hi.
Yeah, I haven't been checking out any of the upcoming candidates. So
yeah. I like the dude from South Bend. He's pretty interesting. I forget his name. Mayor Pete. They call him Mayor Pete.
Shout out to Mayor Pete.
Of course, there's Bernie, and there's Elizabeth Warren and Kamala.
Yeah,
that we talked about, and all those people. I mean, they're all right. Beto's running now, but Beto's. I don't really like Beto. I don't really like Kamala.
They actually might be. I don't know, man. To your point, like I always try to at least do my due diligence to at least do some research, watch some interviews, go back. But
I don't know any of that here.
My favorite candidate.
I don't even want to.
Yeah, my favorite candidate right now is Andrew Yang.
Yeah,
I like him a lot. He's running as a Democrat, but just I agree with everything that he's running on.
I can dig it.
I can dig that.
He's good. He's got the universal basic income platform to deal with automation in the next 10 years, which is, I think the report said 60% of jobs are going to be displaced by 2030.
Yeah. I believe that.
So I'm just not ready to go into politics again and then see the outcome.
For sure.
I'm not mad at that.
I honestly, hopefully I'm wrong.
Yep.
I think we're going to have, I don't know. I don't even
FOMO.
I don't even want to speak it into existence, but it's a high possibility that it can happen.
FOMO, yeah.
I
don't want to speak that either. To your point, but I think I would say I'm leaning towards that as well, feeling exactly the way that you just said. So we pretty much just leave it at that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about a little music. Shout out to Philly, North Philly.
I don't think you qualified.
Shout out to North Philly, South Philly. We don't want no smoke. Shout out to Memphis. We see y'all Bill Street,
Orange
Mound, suburbs.
Hey, a definite shout out to Philly. Tech Nine, one of the most prominent battle rappers, passed away a few days ago.
I saw that and made the mistake of thinking it was, like
not Tech Nine.
Yeah, the independent Tech Nine.
No.
Not like I made that mistake. I was like, yo.
Yeah.
But I'm sleep on the battle rapper. I'll be honest. I'm sleep.
Not the what is it? What's his label called? It's not. Is it Strange?
Strange Music.
Yeah, not that's.
It's spelled differently as well.
It's just Tech TECH and then number 9.
From what I hear, he was a beast.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. I don't know what happened in terms of him passing away, but a lot of prominent rappers were coming out talking about him and just reflecting on his skills. So
indeed,
he must have been cold at what he was doing. So yeah, rest in peace to that brother. Let's talk about Cardi, man. Cardi she's been on a pretty good run, if you ask me. Album, Grammy, multiple #1 hit records. Like, she's out here. I think she just landed a movie role with Jennifer Lopez. So she's out here in these streets. But I saw this one the other day, and this is going to be interesting to see how hip-hop and how just people in general choose to respond to this. A live video, a video surfaced of her on her IG. She was having a live session, and she was kind of speaking about her past and how she felt everybody always attacks her. Like, she's always being attacked for, the lack of skill, or it was given to you, or the normal routine in terms of her her uphill battle. But she also went into a portion of that where she talked about how she used to fund some of her studio sessions. And she starts rambling about, I had to pay $50,000 for studio sessions for engineers and producers and recording and all that. And I don't think she slipped up. She said it. But she says, I even had to, men that wanted to have sex with me, I would actually take them to hotels, drug them, and rob them in order to get bread to help pay for these studio sessions. And I was like, whoa, who says that?
She does.
She does. So,
boom goes the dynamite.
Shout out to Ball State.
Like, literally.
Yeah. So here's my question. Jay Diff, I'm coming to you. How do you think this is going to be received? Because I'm seeing what she had to do what she had to do, which to me is crazy because right is right, wrong is wrong. This is definitely 100% wrong. What do you think, man? Is she going to get a pass for this? Is this going to
She's already gotten a pass.
I stand corrected.
This is the thing I wanted to point out because there's a double standard.
Okay.
So, and I'm glad that we have Melissa here.
Oh, yes.
Kind of
We're
weigh
coming to you.
in
Oh,
on
yes.
the other side of things. But when a woman does something like this, it's applied. So she had to do what she had to do. You know what I'm saying? To get what she needed to do or be where she's at now. She had to figure out something to do that.
Yeah.
Whereas if a man were to do that to a woman, I mean that's a classic case of it's a Bill Cosby situation, technically.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So you had people that were pretty much, it was a witch hunt for Bill Cosby.
100%.
He essentially did the same thing. He invited women to his home, whether they were willing to come or not. They were given drugs. Some wanted the drugs regardless of what they say. This is the time that we were living in. But for Cardi to say that she's drugged men and robbed them, it's a classic double standard because I don't think that's cool.
Let me play devil's advocate, right? And I'm playing this because I talked to a friend of mine. Shout out to my homie Miss Thompson in Philly. She said if something happened where Cardi was, I don't know, she was brought up on charges or whatever, had to do, we'll just say some jail time. She wouldn't be out. My friend wouldn't be out in the street saying free Cardi, because that shit was wrong. But she also said that she didn't feel that it was the same as the Cosby situation because these men were, I guess, willingly going back to the hotel with her. To that, you say what?
What?
I'm serious.
That's what I'm saying. What?
It's not just her. I see that across the board.
That doesn't listen to what you just said. And I'm not saying that you said it. I'm saying listen to what you just said. This is just hypothetically speaking.
Sure.
Did he put the women in a duffel bag?
I don't do that.
Just because the men wanted to go back to the hotel room, these women wanted to go back to Bill Cosby's house too, right?
That's what
Some of them on many occasions.
Okay.
Right? And they were given Quaaludes or whatever. And even though she didn't necessarily have sex with these men, or maybe she did, I don't know. Who knows what happened? She still drugged them and robbed them.
What I'm also seeing is rape versus robbery.
Right.
Rape versus
you're
robbery.
Also seeing the you're also seeing the this patriarchal element as well of men versus women in society.
Sure.
So it's put on it's held as a higher standard because a woman got over, in my opinion.
Okay.
And she had to do what she had to do to get by. And now she's where she needs to be. So, that's cool. Everybody does something in their life, and blah, blah.
That happens in every single form of power structure that there is, though, as it's related to, every single one.
I am seeing a lot of women say, though, acknowledge that no matter how you want to talk about, like we just said, what we talked about, what she had to do what she had to do. You see that sprinkled in. But I'm seeing a lot of women actually say, at the end of the day, the shit is still wrong. Like, some people are fighting that. Like, to your point about she had to do what she had to do. I am seeing a lot of women say, nah, that shit is foul and it's wrong. At the end of the day, on face value for what it is wrong. So I still think she's going to your point, already get that pass. And
it's done.
On the Breakfast Club, they said, just take it as a learning experience. I was like, okay.
Yeah, it's a wrap. It doesn't matter.
It's over with.
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
What do you think?
Fair enough. Melissa, what do you think?
I think it's wrong. But would these men come forward and say it happened?
One already has.
That's a good question.
Oh, see, I don't keep up.
I don't either.
So.
Honestly, I didn't even read it. I just seen an article, one of Cardi's whatever or another came forward. And
somebody actually came forward. I didn't see that part. That's new to me. I didn't see that.
And it can be somebody just trolling and looking for a spotlight.
Oh, today's era, 100%.
And she might even come out and say, "Oh, I was just playing." Who knows what? I don't know.
She wrote
Regardless.
a long paragraph. My homie sent on Instagram, and it was. I should have saved the picture of it. At the end, towards the bottom, she used the word, or she tried to throw the notion out there that these people were knowing of what happened. They were.
How are you knowing if you're drugged?
That's what I said. I don't know where the PR people are. I don't know who's doing what, but she's spiraling out of control, because that doesn't make any sense to me.
That's not really spiraling out of control.
I think it is.
That's more just describing it the way she wants to describe it.
But why are you still talking? Like, what to me?
She's
like,
a public figure, so everybody's looking for her to say something.
So you think with her being a public figure, that means she has to go into a deep explanation about it,
Either
or does
her
she have to?
or her, what do you call it?
Publicist?
Publicist.
That's what I'm saying. Like, where are those people? I guess is my question.
That's probably who wrote it.
I'm gonna show it to you. I don't think they wrote the one that I read, but I'll show it to you after we get off the air. But
all right.
it looked like it was she did that off the.
I mean,
the
really,
top.
to me, both scenarios are wrong, right?
Right, 100%.
So we could leave it at that. I mean, I do think there are levels of double standards everywhere. I feel like it's I got to be careful with that one.
Yeah. Gray area. There's a lot of gray area. Slippery slope.
It's almost cool in certain ways now to clown.
It is.
You know what I mean? And so I see it in multiple areas as well. In general.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of look the other way a lot of times, but it's interesting to see so many people clown white people now. Like, it's cool. Like, not clown white people for doing white people things, but just to clown white people for white, like extra. I see it all the time because I'm white, and I see them like, all right, cool. Like, if they're doing something, cool. But it's just like it's become cool. And it's weird. It's like, I don't know, it rubs me wrong. Like, call it for what it is, but the extra shit's extra to me. I don't know. But to me, I think that can relate over to what we're talking about here as well. Like, oh, Cardi did it. It's almost like good for her is what I'm seeing. Yeah, I don't know. It's like
that's what it is.
It's like no,
it's not good.
I mean, I don't know.
Let's change the scenario.
Okay. I like this.
Let's substitute who's prominent right now. Let's say Chance the Rapper did this.
Chance the Rapper.
Chance the Rapper needed money for studio time. So he went and, strippers at the end of the night, they're taking home a nice bag. I'm gonna take you home, make sure you get home safe. Slip him a little something. She passes out. He takes her money. What is he?
He's on CNN. He's on Fox. He's on everything.
But what is he though?
How would they classify? What would they classify him as?
I don't know. That's a good
question. What would they classify him as?
I feel like this is a question you're
posing.
He's
a creep.
He is a creep.
He's definitely a creep.
He's definitely a creep.
He's a manipulator.
He's a God-fearing man because he's Christian, right?
Don't do that. Melissa, what would you call in this situation? What would you call Chance, the one that Terry just described? How would you describe him?
He's a creep.
He's a creep. Creep it is.
That's some creepy shit.
Yeah. I'm with that.
It's rapey too, isn't it?
But you almost
call him rapey.
That is
like you expect to like it's sucked up.
Yeah.
You'd expect more from that story, right?
Yeah.
You don't. You just the scenario is always a man drugged a woman and took her money and left.
Yeah.
That's all he did.
Had to fuck her. He definitely.
Thank you. Yeah. That's all. That's the question. That's all he did. That's how it's going. That's exactly how it's coming across.
He's rapey.
He's right.
Now, historically, I mean,
Terry's
most
right,
of the
though.
stories are like that, though.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's merit to that, I guess.
Could you imagine if this
men are? I mean, I'm not going to downplay men that have been raped and all that stuff like that, but women see. Are we going to say that men are raped more often than women?
I wouldn't say that.
I'm curious what the statistics.
But see,
this
kind of goes back to the double standard as well. So when you have teachers that sleep with young boys,
Right.
that's applauded as that boy is applauded as a champion.
Oh, no
You
question.
know what I'm saying? How you took down a teacher.
Yeah, no question.
Whereas a male teacher who has sex with one of the female students,
It's over for him.
exactly.
It's over for him.
There's always that kind of double standard depending on whose face and what kind of anatomy is involved in the situation.
I agree.
But I think it's also because of the historical power structures of the way the world is, right? Because a man is over, that man is the dominant figure historically, right? So you kind of have to take that into play a little bit when we talk about that.
But is that necessarily? Well, I don't even want to say fair, or as Mike would say,
That's fair.
right?
It's fast.
It don't
I'm not even going to say fair because
it don't tell off like
life
that.
isn't fair.
It don't do that.
But
I have it saved.
Whatever.
to your point, historically, just like the whole, it's almost masculinity is shunned upon now. Have y'all noticed that?
100%.
Being a man,
Well, toxic is what they call it.
Yeah.
masculinity, period, for the
Yeah.
most part. Being a man is shunned upon from what I see. I don't even just see it as, because what is toxic masculinity? Because I can point at anything and say it's toxic.
Yep.
Melissa, do you know what that is?
Please put the mic closer to your mouth so we can hear.
Please, if
hear
you would,
your
please.
vivid thoughts.
You have such a lovely voice.
I don't even know how to describe that. Because I hear it said a lot.
Or mansplaining.
What the hell? What is
the
that?
hell is
Well,
what?
mansplaining is when you explain something for a woman instead of letting the woman talk.
What?
Is that what that is?
Kind of.
It's like it would be like Sean telling me how I knit. Like, I know how to knit. I'm a knitter. But he's trying to explain it to me like I don't already know what it is.
So that's mansplaining.
That's
mansplaining?
mansplaining. So he's talking over me, trying to explain to me something I already know about.
Ah. Oh,
But
yeah.
it does. It could be anything though.
But
it doesn't
women do that
necessarily
too,
have
though.
to be. I don't even.
There's not a word for that. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just okay.
I hadn't heard that one. No, mansplaining.
Yeah.
That's a new one for me.
I mean, it may be used in different.
It's more nuanced too sometimes.
What you said about.
But it would take that into relevance too. But it's like it's almost like I know nothing about knitting too. Like I know nothing about knitting, but I'm trying to explain it to you like I do know more. Like I'm letting it. I'm sharing it to you, and you're going to believe me more than her for some reason. Like there's this weird nuance involved that I can't really explain for some reason. But
I know for a fact she's not going for that.
No.
She's not going for that.
she'd probably just ignore me if I did that. So
Or punch you
or
one of
punch
the two.
me.
Yeah. I
'Cause
probably
she's
could see.
violent.
Yeah, I could probably see punching. But but what you said, that could be a whole nother show about the concept of masculinity now.
And femininity.
Across
So,
the board, though.
across the
Just
board.
period. Like,
Because it's like, and I love women. I love the whole movement or
Sure.
whatnot. But it's like masculinity or being masculine
You
is
just did the I have a black friend thing.
oh man,
no. It's totally different.
see,
Way different. Because what I'm saying
Stop,
is
man.
masculine. So now I've heard a lot or seen a lot of examples of how masculinity is this, that, and the other. But women empowerment is applauded, and women are essentially being put in a position to where they have to hustle like a man. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So they're tapping into, I guess, the masculine side, and we don't need the man to possess I don't know. That's just,
I know where you're going.
you know what I'm saying? It's just a
going.
weird kind of vibe or energy
feel
associated with masculinity.
I feel
See
like
it a
it's
lot.
I feel like it's a culture shift though. I feel like in general, like when we talk about the women's power movement
Yep.
or whatever you want to call it.
Empowerment.
Empowerment, excuse me. it's just kind of equalizing the voice more so. And I think historically we're not used to having an equal voice or even allowing that.
Well, I like that though. What
I
don't like, this is what I'm saying.
There.
What I don't like is to diminish a man being a man, not a creep as egotistical, Trump type individual.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But a man, you know what I'm saying? Just like it's just not applauded anymore.
Yeah. Certain qualities. It goes back to
it's like the boogeyman now. Being a man is the boogeyman.
And I actually had a conversation with one of my homies that's he's younger than us, and it was about the concept of people that are our age have what I call old school parents.
Mm-hmm.
So with my father, the way my father raised me, like he would be rolling over in his grave now, seeing how the concept of a man is being portrayed in 2019 versus when he was coming up and how he raised me. Just to your point about just the qualities of being an actual man.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm starting to see that. To me, it feels like it's being chipped away at, like it's being diminished slowly, but surely.
It's like certain men are becoming more feminine and women are becoming more masculine.
Right. I agree 100%.
That is totally backwards to me.
Yeah, I wasn't trained that way. I wasn't raised that way. So when I see things like that, to me, mentally it throws me for a loop.
Mm-hmm.
It just does. I'll be honest, because I wasn't raised that way.
I feel like toxic masculinity are just the toxic traits of a man that a man may have and may hold that are historical. I feel like for the people that I know that talk about toxic masculinity and stuff like that, they don't necessarily not like masculinity. They just don't like the toxic aspects of it. And I think it's extremely nuanced. I've paid a lot of attention to it in the last couple of years, just because of the same stuff we're talking about right now, just because I didn't get it or I didn't really understand. But I feel like there's a lot of toxic traits that come with power in general. And I feel like a lot of that stuff is just kind of instilled in men sometimes. And I don't necessarily think that I feel like some people can take that idea and run with it, and they can bastardize the idea of masculinity. It's social media, right? Everybody has an opinion. Who knows what's right? Everybody's a Wikipedia page. Everybody can edit it, right? So, I think personally, just the toxic traits is just the toxic traits of masculinity when that power is held and it can be held and it's invoked and it's ran with across the board. That's all that I think that it is. I mean, I could be wrong. I
actually think both are right, if that makes sense. Like the angle that you're saying to me doesn't sound far-fetched. Like I see the way you broke it down and explained it, the concept of the traits, if you will, like that make a certain man toxic or whatever. That makes sense to me 100%. I get that. But I also understand, I believe what me and Terry are leaning more towards, just the overall concept of a man.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
That's what I'm saying. But I think both are fair comments. Like I agree with both. There's just two different aspects of it. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm with you more just because of the concept of me and how I drew back to me coming up as a kid. That part of it. But I totally understand what you're saying as well. Like I get it. Like
I mean, the
what you said makes
idea
sense.
that you're holding on to though is an idea that was taught to you by a previous generation at a previous time.
Yep.
You know, and if you look at how things have changed throughout the year, and we think about the women's movement, and we think about even civil rights and how things have changed, different generations change, and different
100%.
things are changing. So I think it's interesting to at least talk about. I've also felt at times where I've seen comments from people and be like, "Man, I feel like I'm under attack." That's just the guilt of being a man. I think sometimes I feel like, man, maybe I can't do anything right.
Maybe it's because I can't relate to the type of men that they're talking about. So I essentially group myself as a man as who they're talking about, because I don't really associate with people that may have those traits or have never been that type of person. So I I don't know.
Lone's comment about generational things being generational is a good point, because it's evolution, right? Things evolve, times change, things evolve. So
I mean, there was a place in time where it was okay to have a scheduled sex night of the week,
right?
And the woman was supposed to abide by it,
right?
You know what I mean? Like,
I could dig that. I see.
I'm
where
talking
you're
my
coming from.
grandparents' generation.
Yeah, for sure.
It's whack.
I'm just saying, like certain things. This is less than 50 years
Scheduled.
ago. You know,
right?
Less than 50 years ago. I mean, have you seen the show Mad Men? I mean, that's interesting. You know, so I don't know. Like I like to take things at an individual basis and just kind of listen to it, but I can understand both sentiments, obviously. But
it kind of goes back to the whole civil rights movement, which was, what, 50, 60 years ago as well. You know what I'm saying? So, and during that civil rights movement, there was a women's movement that pretty much kind of coincided the civil rights or equal rights from blacks that was made by somebody else and just invited black women into the fold.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of historical things that have been made, I think, to bastardize certain individuals and make them not look like, or to group them all together,
right,
with the bad bunch, whether their morals or rights mean something different.
Yeah,
well said.
Do you have any contributions, Melissa?
No.
All right.
I zoned out.
Okay.
Zone out.
Shout out to the socks.
Red August. What do you think?
She got tired of us mansplaining.
Yeah. Clearly, that's what she did. I just hope
were we
I don't get
mansplaining?
punched.
Was that a mansplain?
I don't think that was mansplaining.
Okay.
Thank you. Where we at on time, Lone? Are we good? I can't see.
Yeah,
we
got
good.
20 minutes.
All right.
Let's see what Mike thought real quick though.
Oh Lord. This boy gonna have an album in 2 weeks, I'm telling y'all.
So I would even go one step further with the generation thing and say that, like, nowadays we live in a world where no one's comfortable with who they are. Like everyone's super sensitive about what's being said or being labeled or whatever. And so, like, anytime anyone comes out and says something or like the traditional or older ideas about, like, I'm not saying that there's nothing wrong with the traditional ways of doing things, but people are way too sensitive nowadays. And I think everyone's just uncomfortable. So they're always looking for a box to fit in or something to make them feel more comfortable. And even if that means making someone else, like calling someone else out for things that they're doing, just to make themselves feel okay with who they are or whatever. I mean, it's just everyone's super sensitive about things.
That's an interesting question, because I do feel like people are more sensitive. I think we're more prone to
make everything an issue.
Yeah, but you know, sometimes I wonder why. And I wonder if it's just that because everybody has a voice. I was watching, was it Bomani Jones?
Bomani Jones.
He was on
Drink Champs.
Ebro.
Ebro?
He was
Sorry.
on Ebro recently.
Ebro, sorry.
Well, he might have been on Drink Champs too, but he was on Ebro, and him and Peter Rosenberg and Ebro were talking. They were talking about the fact that, you know, everybody has a voice now, but not everybody deserves to have a voice.
100%.
Doesn't mean that you're not supposed to be able to speak, but not everybody has a voice. And I feel like in this era that we're in social media wise, it's given this false illusion like everybody should have a voice on specific things and should be able to talk about everything. Yeah. And
everybody follows people like this on Facebook as well. People that just make statuses all day.
Yeah.
About nothing, essentially, just to try to seem like they're intelligent.
No substance at all.
None.
No meat and potatoes at all.
Yeah, Mike does that.
I do that all the time. Yeah. Y'all make sure y'all check me out on Twitter and everything. I ain't talking about shit.
Michael might make post comments about stuff that happens, like, going on, and I have no idea what. You made a comment about Duke the other day, and I was like,
it was a very lucky game. They were very lucky.
But you didn't mention Duke or anything, so I'm reading the comment like, man, that was really lucky. I'm like, who the fuck is he talking about?
I kind of like
Duke
the post
was very lucky.
where he posts the Avengers trailer or the time, and then
I don't care.
He just said, "I don't care," and posted.
And then y'all jumped out the window. Thank you. And then you jumped out the window. Who was that?
No, that was Brendan. Yeah.
Shout out to Brendan.
He said, "Well, you posted it, so you do care."
Right.
I said,
and then Terry came in with
right, you know?
It was some type of meme underneath, but I was like, yeah, y'all cooked me on that, but I can't wait to see the movie. I don't care how long it is.
You
but
have to explain it.
I'm just giving you shit, but
Yeah.
but
I don't want. I don't want to
you
use.
know.
I don't want to lose my train of thought.
Yeah, we're not talking about you specifically, though.
No, not at all.
You're not in that group of people that I'm talking
I know what
about.
you're talking about. But to your point about evolution, and to Red August's point about sensitivity, like think about if you want to do the parallel with sports, Tom Izzo, right? Did you guys see him like when he was yelling at the player?
I heard about. I think I heard you talking to somebody about it or something.
So he walks out almost damn near to center court. Well, the kid's walking from center court, and he's walking and he's yelling, and like coaches do, yelling and screaming. If you pan down, you can see he's got like the Arthur fist, right? so Izzo's yelling at this kid. They go back to the huddle. You know how at the tournament they bring the chairs out so the kids can sit down and they have to walk all the way back to the bench. So as they're sitting down, he's yelling. Some of the other players have to get in between the coach, not the player, to hold him back, hold the coach back. Now, once they sit down, they start going over, making adjustments. Mind you, this was after a 10-0 run by them, so they were up 10. There's another situation where he almost lunges at the same player. He's still riding this kid, like just dogging him. All the cameras are catching it. Reggie Miller's talking about it. And the next day on every sports station, they were talking about how, oh, you shouldn't yell at that kid like that. These kids are built like they used to be. The kids are much more sensitive now.
I wonder why.
That's my point.
I mean, that's different. All right, so Coach Knight threw a chair at somebody.
He also stole on somebody.
That's exactly
totally
where I'm
different.
going. We're talking about generational. I mean,
he threw a chair at somebody. You being a coach, and actually coaching a kid, you don't know what happened up to that point
at all.
The coach is supposed to essentially be that kid's role model, father figure, whatever.
Disciplinarian.
Exactly, when he's on that team with him. So
but
that's what's supposed to happen.
But to the point that Red August made, the optics of it is what made everybody so sensitive. Oh, it just looks so bad that he's yelling and screaming. And I can't believe that he's yelling at this kid on national TV. And I'm like, to your point about posts, like I made a post about a time I got chewed out. I'm talking about bad. Like when the schools joined, we were having tryouts, and I didn't get back on defense, and I got roasted in front of the entire gym. So things change, but it's kind of like, yo, are we really on every sports station talking about this coach yelling at his kid? Like, is that where we are now? Maybe it is.
Then it dives into a more deep-rooted conversation in mental health as well.
How so?
Because trauma happens in different ways.
Okay.
And we can sit here and say that the kid that's playing or whatnot, maybe, all right, cool, maybe he played better that point in time, but who knows how that may affect him moving forward or not. And so, I don't know. I mean,
that kind of goes back to the oversensitivity, though, too.
You can say it's oversensitive, or you can say that people are actually paying attention to those issues now. Like I'm 35 years old. I'm still untucking shit that happened to me when I was a kid.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing. That's my point, though.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
My point is that when you're a kid and when growing up how we did it, so it's like, nah, stand up, be a man, do what you need to do.
I found it. Okay, I see where you're going.
And now, so, it's like, all right, cool. Did I really need to get yelled at by the band director back then about X amount? And no, fuck off, which is pretty much what I said back then, too. But
I was there.
At the same
so
time.
You handled it like you were supposed to handle it.
But at the same time, depending on how you are growing up, you could take that differently. And I could say that in the moment and still be like, man, I'm fucking up.
True.
And I'm not doing this. And then I can, so I think the mental health, I think the reason why it's in the spotlight and it's an issue is more so those types of reasons. So when people talk about being sensitive, it's like, yeah, I think we've always been sensitive. I just think that now we actually pay attention to it, and there's not as much of a stigma around having to be as strong. And so I can go both ways about it.
Oh, Red August is leaning in.
No, I was just going to say, so where would you draw the line?
Where at, though? You have to be specific. So where are we going to draw the line at? You're going to yell at me in front of national television? Did I fuck up? Okay, cool. Yell at me in that very moment. Maybe you can yell at me. Maybe I screwed up.
Right.
Or maybe I don't do something. Maybe it's the coach's fault.
But it's in the heat of the game. You're not really thinking about these cameras and things on. You're trying to win a ball game.
Right.
Yeah, Coach Izzo was definitely not thinking about no cameras. based off how he was acting, he could care less about the cameras. It's the heat. To your point, it's the heat of the moment.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, Bobby Knight was known to be a stickler.
Facts.
Even before he threw a chair.
Absolutely.
Or whatnot. Everybody knew that's who Bobby Knight was. Yep. People wanted to go to IU to play for Bobby Knight because they knew exactly what they were getting, and they knew they were going to take something from that.
Bruh, Bobby Knight brought a whip to practice, bruh. You remember that time he had the whip and then he brought it back to the press conference afterwards? He had an actual bull whip. You know what I'm saying? Like, that just shows you.
And that's overboard.
Way overboard.
That's overboard.
Could you imagine that? To his point about sensitivity, could you imagine that now? A coach brings a bull whip to a practice.
I probably would have quit.
See,
I'm transferring out of here.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the arguments on the other side is that you build up a strong character, you build up all this other stuff. What do you tuck away? You know, but what do you? You know, this is why a lot of people are so fucked up in the head now. Is like, what do you completely black out from certain that don't allow you to feel anymore, to where like I can't even connect with somebody.
That's real.
On
that's
different,
true.
different levels.
But at the same
like,
time, there are things that kind of build you and make you. You have to have some kind of tough skin about certain things. You can't allow everything that you don't necessarily agree with bother you to the point of you harboring it for the rest of your life. You know, there are some things that, of course, can do that to you. Right. But you can't decide that everything that doesn't go your way.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
Equals. I agree with that.
Me being upset and now I have mental health issues, because I think people are using it as a crutch.
I guess what I'm saying is
of mental health.
I'm saying those two things are different. Like I don't look at those as the same things. Like using it as a crutch and it just happening to you are two different things. Like it can happen to me and I can speak about it or not. It doesn't it's still going to affect me the same way.
But speaking about it also helps heal from that process.
Sometimes.
So if you're harboring it and you're saying that everything bothers you, you know what I'm saying? Then you're not healing. You're not healing from that situation.
Right.
If you're able to speak about it and get other opinions, other viewpoints, then that's the process of healing.
Yeah, it's the vulnerability.
But I don't think that as a people we should let everything essentially bother you to the point where it has to be classified as something.
I agree with that. I feel like the action itself is the thing that needs to be addressed, and I feel like as we need to pick and we don't need to. It's the same thing with the popular culture thing idea, the social media culture. Like we don't have to speak about everything all the time, unless you want to. You know, it's whatever.
I mean,
I feel like vulnerability is the one key element to all that as well, is being vulnerable in general. But I don't disagree with what you're saying. I feel like they're kind of parallel, conversations.
I can dig it.
That's all I gotta say about that.
Yeah, I can dig that. Man, I went somewhere else. It was good though.
Thanks, Cardi.
I know, right? All right, so I had a couple more music.
What you got on there?
Topics real quick. You trying to laugh at my nose? I got bad handwriting. Don't judge me.
You got to realize Melissa just wanted to come on and knit and not have a microphone. Of course. We made her have a microphone.
Yeah, she would have been perfectly fine just knitting. Like
so.
Yeah.
If you see her out knitting or reading a book, it's okay.
Hey, this sock is cold though. I ain't gonna lie. This sock is cold.
That's nice.
Good craftsmanship.
Oh, never mind.
See, now you're just being extra for the sake of being extra.
Man, I just want to make. She might hit me.
Now she's an abuser.
Now she's abused.
I mean, man is a suffix inside of woman.
It is. I was just trying something. Man,
but now you have to change the A to an X.
Oh.
It's not woman.
There's now a lot of non-binary things going on too.
You hear that, Red August? Non-binary.
You just said some shit Mike didn't even understand.
I didn't, but I know now.
Well, there you have it.
Yeah, stop, man. All right.
It's true. I heard somebody talk about a Latin woman, Hispanic woman, talk about the term Latinx and how she didn't like the term. But anyways, it's another conversation.
Cool. So Let's try this one real quick. I don't know where we are on the ticker, but
6 minutes, Dougie Fresh.
6
You're
minutes,
wrong.
Dougie Fresh. You're on. All right, so best storytelling tracks.
Oh, we're gonna have to wait on that one.
Is that gonna be too long?
Yeah.
The last two I got it real long. It's the best storytelling tracks, and also rappers who got carried by production. Those are gonna be too long.
We can wait on those.
We're gonna tuck those.
Yeah.
All right.
I was gonna. So the reason why I brought that up in the first place is because a few albums have reached their 15-year mark.
Okay.
So MF Doom and Madlib's Mad Villainy is 15 years old. I'm not sure if anybody here actually listened to it.
Terry and I don't like.
Did you ever
MF
listen
Doom.
to it?
Yeah, I'm cool.
We cool on MF Doom.
Well, Madlib produced it. It's an
I
interesting
fool with
theme.
Madlib.
It came out about 15 years ago on the 23rd. Also, Murs and Ninth Wonder's first album, 316.
I did like that one.
To me, that might be my favorite Murs album, and it might be my favorite Ninth Wonder production project.
He and Ninth did what, three
or four
projects. Then he went with Buckshot in between there for a couple joints, I believe. They had the chemistry. They had, I can't remember the second one, something from the lab. I don't know, but you're saying that's some of Ninth's best work from production standpoint for you.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
in the songwriting. So there's a song on there called "Walk Like a Man." I'll bring this up the next time, but it's one of my favorite storytelling tracks that's on there. But it was also, we're familiar with Kendrick's Duckworth track, right? The one where the beat changed on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that was produced by Ninth Wonder. Ninth did the same thing on Murs' first album. So on that storytelling track, the beat changed for 3 different stories.
I wonder what, from a producer standpoint, Duckworth has 3 different beats in it, or is it 2? It goes back and forth between.
I honestly
It's
don't
3.
know.
I think it's 3. Is it 3? So he's got 3 of those joints on there. 3 different samples to get cleared, but he's still going to get publishing on all 3 of those beats, right?
It's still
It's
one
one
song.
song.
It's still going to be one song. I wondered about that because he's got.
That just means he's splitting the publishing up a lot.
Dude,
He's getting like an 8.
the
He's
split?
getting like a 20th or something.
Bruh, can you imagine the splits on that? That's
Yeah.
crazy.
It was a
He
good
tripping.
song.
He just wanted to be like, I had a track on Kendrick's.
I mean, he had damn near one of the best songs on the album, you ask me. So I'll take 1/20th.
there's some other albums out there that had anniversaries too. I just
Biggie,
can't think
was
of
it Ready
right
to
offhand.
Die? 22 years.
22 years?
I
We
think.
getting old.
No, man.
Albums.
There's some stuff that popped up on my timeline. I can't visualize it right now.
I think Blockhead's one. I don't know if anybody listens to Blockhead, but
I don't even know who Blockhead
Don't know who
is.
Blockhead
He's
is.
a producer that produced a lot of A$AP Rock's early work. He's a really good instrumental producer.
Nice.
So if you like lo-fi hip hop stuff, you'll probably like his. He recently released a new album.
Word.
But also Idea and Abilities.
Idea and abilities.
They were a rhyme sayer crew.
Terry.
I'm drawing a blank on all of these albums. buddy.
Idea passed.
These are what I call lone artists.
Yeah.
These are lone artists. 100%. He knows them from everywhere in the
Idea was
country.
a battle rapper back in the day. He was on
Yeah,
Rhyme
I know who
Sayers.
Idea is. Yeah.
Yeah. So him and the producer Abilities put out a project way back then.
Okay.
So anyways, it's the reunion.
I'm sleep.
I'm sleep.
I'm not familiar with it either.
Okay.
But that's what else is old.
Cool.
Lone, no, he knows them. You hear me? I'm talking about all corners of the world. He knows them.
Blockhead.
Shout out to Blockhead. Never seen him.
Couldn't point him out in the crowd.
Sure could. Might be in here
He has a
now
big
for all I know.
blockhead.
Hey, he might be out there on the couch.
So, couple minutes.
I hope not.
Couple minutes to wrap up. But listen, you got anything else to say as we wrap up? You want to shout out anything that you are working on? Anything cool? Floor is yours.
I do not commission knit, so don't ask me to knit you anything because I'll say no.
Fair enough.
I'll get that.
She's talking to Mike right now.
Shots.
We ain't did nothing. Go ahead.
Shots fired. Nah, this weekend.
Yeah.
What do I have?
A few things.
Got Wine After Work Thursday.
Hey.
So today, yeah, it's time. It's time to get lit.
Great. Hey, if y'all haven't been to Wine After Work, go check my man out.
Good time.
They get busy.
It's a good time.
Great vibe. One of the best vibes in the city. In my
I enjoy
opinion.
it. And Hip Hop Night Friday at Square Cat Vinyl.
Yep.
That's where we at.
Lo-fi hip hop Saturday nights at Patron Saint, David Peck.
Shout out to
7 to 10.
David Peck.
Free 99.
Free 99.
Free 99.
Yeah, wine after work is free before 8.
Yeah.
After that, you got to pay your fare.
Hope we can get that Red August giggle in there at the end. Shout out to Red August. Melissa, we appreciate you sitting with us as well.
Like that?
What?
I think it froze. What's up, John Stamps?
Shout out to the beat. Melissa, we appreciate you sitting with us. Thank you. DJ Jay Diff, Longevity, 𝐴𝐻𝐻7. That's the Frozen Bee. We'll see y'all next week.
Holler.
Peace.